"Hey, Mom," I said into the phone, trying not to sound distraught for her benefit. She and Dad had both been ill for a time, and, being out of state, it was next to impossible to go visit them at the time, so the last thing I wanted to do was make them worry. "How's everything going?" Even though she had been sick, she sounded much better than she had the last time I spoke to her, which was a huge relief. "Oh, everything's going well," she informed me. "Your father has another doctor's appointment tomorrow in order to see if he's getting any better, but other than that, we're doing really well. I just wish that the caretaker for our house out there hadn't quit and moved out of state." Amazed at how the conversation had already opened up, I couldn't help but smile as I responded. "If you need somebody to look after the house for a while," I began, trying not to sound too eager, "I could head down there and take care of it for you." Mom stopped for a moment, seeming to consider this before finally answering. "Are you sure it's not too much trouble?" she asked, sounding both relieved yet concerned as she always did. Mother was a kind woman who didn't ever like to be a bother, and I felt that she thought that asking me to take care of her old home was too much for me. "I know that you don't always have time to drive from the city to the house every day, but it would really help us out a lot until we can find somebody to take care of it, especially during the winter." Immediately, I shook my head, knowing that I had to explain to her exactly why it wouldn't be a bother in order to convince her to let me stay. "Actually, I just got laid off from my job in the city and was planning on moving back to town anyways, especially since my lease is up in a few days," I informed her, hoping I didn't worry her too much. I had actually planned on asking if you minded allowing me to stay at the house until I could get a job and get my own place down there. Mother laughed through the phone, and I knew she had to be shaking her head at me. "Absolutely not," she told me, and my heart sank as my fears grew inside me. "Why would you want to get your own place when our house is perfectly fine?" Raising my eyebrow, I stared at the phone for a moment. "So, is that a yes?" And she sighed through the phone. "I was hoping to save this conversation for closer to Christmas," she admitted, sounding a bit reserved as she spoke, "especially since we hope to be better by then and possibly get to visit. But, considering the situation you're in, I think now is a better time than any to talk to you." She paused for a moment, as if preparing herself before responding. "Since your father and I are getting to that age where we don't want to travel as much, even during the summer when the weather is nice, and we have the house paid off completely, we were wanting to see if you would like us to give you the house." My jaw dropped as I stared at the phone in disbelief. "Give me the house?" I asked, and she continued. "As a late birthday present and a Christmas gift wrapped in one," she agreed. "We don't have the heart to sell the house we've lived in it ever since we got married. But, due to not being able to withstand the cold anymore, we've decided that it would be better to stay where it's warm and sunny. So we wanted to see if you wanted to keep the house for yourself." Realizing that Mother had just saved me from a world of worries, I nodded in response. "Of course," I replied. "I would love to." Over the next few minutes, we talked about everything, and by the time we hung up the phone, I felt as though my luck was taking a turn for the better.